still
Yeah,
recording?
no, there you go.
All right, you're gonna keep letting people in. I know I am. All right, guys, happy Thursday and welcome to the Just Serve Insurance Solutions team meeting. Today we're going to be talking about building and winning at a different level. Proverbs 15:22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. And I feel like that fits our situation and our what we do every single day. So sometimes the fastest way to grow is not just working harder, which is what we do. We work very hard, but it's getting around people who are already doing it at a high level. So today's guest actually wasn't random. Our team actually requested you, Eric.
Thank you.
Our team has asked for you, and he gracefully accepted to join us for a small amount of time. And I'm not doing the slideshow right now, Camden. To and we do value your time, Eric, highly, 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 highly. So they specifically said we want to hear from you because you, someone who actually executes, you follow your script every single time, and you have an amazing tonality and sense of calm, and and you produce consistently. We're always seeing you on the leaderboard. So that matters to the growth of this team. We are building, we are growing. We had our hugest day yesterday, Eric, of $29,000 in a day, which was a huge day for us. It was more than double what we'd done in our past on a day. But we're not building a team of talkers. We're actually building a team of people who are doing. And that's somebody who you are. So, with that being said, on top of that, you, Eric, are someone I personally respect from the beginning. I always have, not just for your production, but for your leadership. You've built something real and from the ground up. And you're also really grounded. I've met your family, right? You're not just selling, you're actually building an agency, or you have built an agency at a high level with integrity. And yet you're still humble every single day. You ask questions to people, no matter who they are. And I love that about you. And you're still out producing most everyone every single day. So today, guys, I don't want you to just listen. I want you to sit where you are. I want you to you're about to level up your business if you actually listen and you take notes. The difference between you where you are right now and where you want to go is usually just a few decisions that you do and you make them consistently. So I do suggest that you stop what you're doing, you sit down, you focus, and you take notes. Team, please give Eric Schmidt some emojis and some love because he's taking his time to be here with us. Thank you, Eric.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. And Heather, I lean on you a lot, so this is obviously the least I could do to spend a little time with your team or a portion of it. And amazing job on the 29,000 in one day. But I would encourage people to, depending on what kind of business you run, if you're taking notes, if you journal, if you diary, you know, look at your text messages and your emails. And I would go back and look at the last 10 days of activity as a team, right, Heather? And because 29,000 just didn't happen because of one thing. It happened because probably the last 5 or 10 days of activities and where your mindset was and what your investment in time was and who you're asking questions to and what you wrote down and what junk you got out of the way and what you really focused on. So it just wasn't one day yesterday, 29,000, let's do 58,000 today. It was, what did the last 5 or 10 days look like? And what can we do to enhance those last 5 or 10 days to continue the trajectory of where we want to go, right? But great job on the 29K. But I think, does that make sense, Heather?
It makes a lot of sense. In fact, fun story is one of the policies that was written yesterday. It was actually a year ago. It was a policy review.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just about what we're doing today, it's what we're
Yeah,
doing over time. And that's
exactly.
huge. That's
And it's that
huge.
it's that build up. It's that build up. It's that build up. And Afro and I worked a lot, side by side in live in person in my Ellington office. And me hearing, her work ethic and what she says and vice versa, and you hearing that over and over and over again, it's like, well, I wonder why, she is always, consistently doing that. Well, because she sounds the same and her tonality is the same and she's tweaking things. And just because a script is a script doesn't mean you can't enhance it or adjust it. I was just talking to another agent who's working the inbound calls, like I know a lot of us are looking at and working right now. And he's like, well, why do I have to say resident state? That's not how I talk. I'm like, well, no one talks that way. No one says, oh, what is your resident state? I mean, but we say that because we have to be in total control of those first 90 seconds. Because if you say, hey, where do you live? Oh, I live on 124 Squirrel Hill Road by the 7-Eleven. Do you know where that is downtown? And before you know it, you're 92 seconds and you're $55 in to a ringba and you don't even know how young the person is. So those questions and how they're specifically designed are to lock you in for those first 90 seconds to make sure the person is going to be insurable and you're the right agent that can insure them. No one says it that way. Everyone asks how old you are, how young you are, but we don't care about that. We want to know their date of birth because when we submit it on the application, it asks what the date of birth is, right? Because I bet if we took a poll, a blind poll, Heather, and someone said, if I asked everyone, maybe not in this page because we're in the business, but I asked 10 people how old they are, they tell me what their next age is.
That's what they do.
They tell us what our next stage is. And that could be a big difference in what we do here. And it slows us down, right? So, and I have this tool because I asked, Heather about it, and I use this tool. And it's important that you get this stuff written down. Oh yeah, nope, I got it. And your son helped me, and I'm still screwing it up, but I'm doing better. And but and slow down. You got to slow down. And that's why I think, and again, I've been doing this for a little bit and I'm nowhere near perfect, but I'm trying to get better every day. But when a client is talking to you, whether it's, a trucker lead or a veteran or an inbound call, remarkable, Kathleen, is the writing tablet. And I just got the basic one based on Heather's. Well, Heather, you might have told me to upgrade, but I think I just got the basic one. But you have to talk slow. You have to be in control. When you go to a doctor's office, they're not, blah, 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 blah. They're taking their time. They're asking you questions. They're asking you probing questions. They're peeling it back one level, right? And when you get to those questions like, well, and I always say it this way, Heather, talking inbound, I know first off, I always want to reciprocate information. So when I ask someone if they're single, married, widowed, or divorced, okay, and they say they're married, I say, my spouse's name is Carrie. What's your spouse's name? Now I'm
Mhm.
past the 90 seconds. I own the lead already, but I always like to give information. And then when I ask the question, God forbid, if you were to pass away tomorrow, Kathleen, who would you want to designate as your beneficiary for this policy benefit? It would be my sister. Well, guess who my beneficiary is? My sister, Lori. Laurie. What's your sister's name?
That's
My
perfect.
daughter. My daughter's name is Grace and Sarah. What's your daughter's name? My son. My son's name is Evan. What's your son's name? So I always like to give before I, require to get. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it just makes the client much more open to doing business. Um, and I think a lot of our competition isn't really having those types of conversations. They're having, boom, 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 on to the next one, right? Um, I spoke to a Ringba inbound last night. She had three other policies, okay, and I helped her with she had a bank account, but it wasn't accessible. So I think and everyone went core bridge with her, so they had the access to the debit card. Um, so I spent an exorbitant amount of time with her and we got the checking and we got the routing and she was S1 Eagle, $53 a month. So no one's going to retire on it, but it would buy me another $500 pack of leads. And today, as I was driving around, doing some errands, I spent another good amount of time with her canceling those other three policies. Um, And when I used to do this door to door, I had these magnets made, my business card, that's a magnet, so I'd always leave it with my clients. But now what I'm doing is when I write a policy, I went to the post office and I got these pre-stamped envelopes, nothing fancy. And I just put my business card in here. And as soon as I write the policy, I mail it. I go out, I put the flag up and I mail it out. So I'm still inside their house because
That's smart.
a lot of these clients can't even, and this was, I mean, I can't remember the cheap place that, I mean, they practically fall apart, but they're whatever the right word is, people enjoy them. Um, and I mean, a lot of these people don't even know how to add us to to their phone, even if you walk them through it, because they got all these ads coming up on these free Obama phones or whatever they are. And they're like, oh, I can't, they just keep pushing me back to the games. And um, 27, 27 codes I sent her from America last night before she got it on the second one, 27 times. Um, but, she's never going to talk to anybody else. I'm her guy. She's going to refer me. Um, but kind of getting back to the beginning, just really being in control. And everyone has different tools, right? I know, Heather, you use Kixie, right? Is it Kixie?
Uh, Ringy.
Ringy. You use
Yeah.
Ringy. Did you used to use Kixie, or you always use Ringy? No,
Mm-mm.
you use Ringy.
I've
And
used Ringy since like 3 months
yeah,
in.
and I've used them all, right? I think I was probably one of the first agents with Grady using Phone Burner. I was using that year two in Miami when we were at the convention. And so whatever tool that you're using, um, whatever Go high level system you're using, try to go all in with that system. Get all the a la carte stuff. Um, it's not cheap, but this is a business, and everyone's trying to have this crazy ROI in their first 90 days in the business, right, Heather? And that's really, I mean, your goal should be breaking even in 90 days, not paying off a credit card you had from 1992, or paying or getting caught up with your car note. You don't need a car, I mean, you do, but there's other options. But I would just encourage people to use all the tools. The tool I use is sends out postcards. If they miss a payment, I can mark it that they've missed a payment, and all of a sudden it starts to hit them up to try to get that payment back on track. It sends them out a payment reminder every single month. Now I know Mutual of Omaha does that. Mutual of Omaha, I think, if I could be wrong, is one of the few carriers that does send out monthly payment reminders. But my system sends out payment reminders for every carrier, built into its system I use. Um, and it's not cheap, but it's a policy a month. I mean, so for a policy a month, I can afford, to have that type of that attempt to have a good persistency. Um, but I love to answer some direct questions from you, Heather, or anyone in the
Yeah.
group, and
So
and
we had kind of requested, and I appreciate all that because you gave us a lot of things with tools and stuff, and tools are always great. One of the things is we have a very fresh new team. And so if you think back, because I know sometimes it's hard, you forget the beginnings, but when you think back to about your journey and how it started, what helped you to go from, because we have to start producing first. That's number one. Everybody knows that we have to produce in order to actually make money and move forward. But what happened and what helped you go from producing to basically leading at a high level? Was there anything specific that you remember?
really keeping your emotions, your emotions are always going to go up a little bit and go down a little bit, but not letting them get too high and not letting them get too low. And sometimes you need to put a post-it note on your bottom of your computer screen. Um, you know, I don't have it anymore because it's pretty much, my thing, but low and slow, right? Low and slow. Um, my son sold insurance with me this summer. He's 20 years old. He'll be 21 in 32 days or so here. And he was having a real hard time in the beginning. And that's Grace's older brother. You met Grace at
Yeah.
convention. And there's a big sign in his cubicle, the cubicles that we have, Afro, and it says, "Do they trust me?" Really big. Do they trust me? Um, because if you don't do something to share and get them to trust you, then everything else, I mean, maybe they'll say yes, maybe they'll draft a payment, but ultimately, they may run into Andrea Huff, and I really trust Andrea more than that other guy, because and you'll get, a shark will come in like Andrea, and she'll rewrite the policy, even if it's for the same money, just because she trusts the person, or she talked about the concierge service with
Legacy safeguard.
well, not only, the funeral concierge is with the Transamerica FE Express
Oh yeah,
product.
that one too.
And that's a
Yeah.
great, and if you haven't looked into that, guys, I would definitely look into that. That's a great product and tool. But with the legacy safeguard, that's even more, because they're getting more mail at the house, right? And when they get this, when they get the legacy safeguard in the mail, they get these hard plastic cards. So they're gonna open it, and it's got your name on there. It's got your phone number on there. So this is something that they can put in their purse or put in their wallet. And I do, and just so everyone knows, full transparency, every single person that I present to gets this, whether they buy or don't buy. Okay. So if I do a presentation and I don't close, which does happen, more often than a lot of people think, they still get this in the mail, and I pick up sales because of this, either directly from that person or someone that they share it with. So I do this often, very, very often. I'm not saying I'm probably in the, I'm not number one, but I'm probably in the top 10% of the, all people that do that throughout Integrity. And it's free. It just costs a little time. And you don't
Hmm.
have to do it during money making time. You can do it during non-money making time. And there is a difference, right, Afro? Um, but I think keeping emotions not too high, not too low. You wake up to that dreadful email from Americo, about a DN, insufficient funds, or a client called in to cancel. Um, or you see someone calling on your cell phone, and it's someone that you wrote 48 hours ago, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to answer it. Answer it. They might have a referral for you, or they might not, or they might be confused on something, right? Um, and I remember very, very early, I was buying Facebook form filled out forms, and they were $25 each, which seems super cheap now based on what we're paying for some stuff. And, the person would tell me to go pound sand right from the get go. I'm just like, oh man, that's what I bought, a pizza for my kids on Friday night. But then, you sell one for $53 like last night, and you know that you're going to get advanced $200 or $300, and that's just going to keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Um, so I think really just, listen, it is much easier said than done to control your emotions. And if you're an emotional person, whew, then watch out. Um, Now, me being 54 here in a couple of days, I mean, I've been around, sales a long, long time, and um, and the numbers are always going to work out. They just do. And sometimes it doesn't feel that way, right? But they do work out. But if you're not putting in the time, and there's going to be a lot more time that you're going to have to put into this in the beginning than not, because if you don't know your script, if you don't know your pivot, if you don't know your carriers, if you don't know your underwriting, if you don't know where to go, um, if you don't know who takes Chime or who takes Direct Express or who takes credit cards, or, you don't know how to, you know, I mean, I work with a couple different screens. If you don't have at least one other screen, I would encourage you to find something on Facebook Marketplace or find something inexpensive on Amazon and get another screen. Because when you can work another screen, I often do two applications at the same time. Like I'll do Americo and Trans Am at the same time. I'm filling out both simultaneously. Obviously clicking back and forth, because I don't have two keyboards or something. I'm not like Edward Scissorhands, but I'm getting prepared, for what's going on, right? Um, and I'm using True People Search. I like to use Is it True People Search? Is that what it's called? Is that the one I'm using? Whatever it is, it's free. I don't pay for it.
Fast people
Yeah,
search.
yeah.
Fast people
I
search.
use True People Search. It's a little bit better for me. So when I type in your name and I type in your phone number, it's already pulling up information. And when I say, "Are you still in Charlotte? Are you still at Blue Hill Road?" Yeah, I am. How'd you know that? Oh, my system pushes that over when you call in. You know, and like I can see email addresses, I can see relatives, I can there's all kinds of tools um, that I can see on this screen I have over here when I'm working on this screen over there. Um, but again, but again, I didn't get all that. I mean, I passed my exam for the second time in November November of 18. Okay, 2018. So this is not like, my first 30, 60, 90 days, 90 months. Have I been doing this even 90 months? Maybe. I don't know. It seems like I've been doing this for a while now. Um, but I've never stopped producing, Heather, and you know that.
Mm.
I became an integrity partner in November of 21. I hit Hall of Fame for 2024 as a producer. Um, I've consistently hit Hall of Fame as an agency owner, and now I'm really just focusing on producing, and um, and I'm doing a lot of inbounds, and I am doing some. I buy one block of truckers and I max it out to 5 a day, Monday through Friday. So
Mhm.
I'm not getting like this huge onslaught of them. I like working a couple few at a time, and then obviously I'm working my book of business, that I've worked as well. But um, and I did a door knock. I had a doctor's appointment in Hartford, Connecticut yesterday, Afro, and I had this person I can't get back on the phone, and they were on Milford Street, so I had to go on Garden and Albany Avenue, which, if you don't know Hartford, that's not the prettiest area, but it was a nice sunny day yesterday, and my car stuck out like a sore thumb. But I did a door drop. I did a door knock, and I put a Americo folder with the final expense wishes guide and the select brochure and my magnet on the mailbox. I took a picture. I texted it to the client. Still haven't heard back from that client, but he is pre-approved with Americo. All I need is the account number. But I still do a little bit of
Nice.
I still do a little bit of everything,
Wow.
Heather. So um, I think yeah. So
That's literally epic. Like,
Yes.
guys, he doesn't have to produce. He chooses to. He didn't have to go to that person's house. He chose to. What decisions are you literally making today that's going to produce something or not? But what decision are you making today that will change your life, change somebody's life, your family's, whatever. So that's impressive, Eric.
Can I
100%.
make a comment about Eric? So, fun fact, even when Eric has like a massive team, I love how humble he is because I feel like once you produce at a certain level, $50 policies, we just kind of like don't value them anymore. And I think that's such a wrong mindset because when I was in the field, a $50 policy for me was great. And then once we started telesales, I had Hall of Fame, $50 policy to me was like, I didn't really care for it
No time
anymore.
for that type of
But
thing.
now, like I see Eric's, and now again it does, but it's like I see Eric's, point of view. He hasn't changed like how humble he is. Like, all right, $53 policy will get us more leads, and you
Right.
just got to keep going. So the fact that he has an agency, it hits Hall of Fame, and he's still door knocking, that is just to show all of us that we're just not even working hard enough because, just like you said, he doesn't need to do all those things, but he still chooses to do that. So
That's awesome.
I think that's a very important thing.
yeah. Thank you, Afro. I think you
You're
really need
welcome.
to have any level of success, doing this. You're really going to have a healthy obsession over it.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and what does that mean? You know, that means that your family has to be on board, right? I mean, I know your family's on board, Heather. Um, your
Yeah, two
family
of them
has,
are on here right now.
yeah, I see Nathan. Yeah. I mean, your family has to be on board. Um, and it just has to be that way. And when it's really ingrained in you that you're doing it, um, then your voice is always going to be there, your tonality is always going to be there. Where to go for help, whether it's, Heather, because I don't do WinFlex, and it makes me vomit thinking about it, and I'm like, Heather, WinFlex, I need help. Or I call Jesse, or I call Lou Joseph, for some stuff, because he's like the Forsters and Transamerica, IUL, King, which I don't do a lot of. You get, if you're talking final expense, and the couple dozen prescriptions and ailments that our clients have, and what the Direct Express card starts with, right? So like if someone says they use the Direct Express, um, do you say, hey, does that start with 4332 or whatever the other number is, 5501? When you say those types, oh, mine starts with 4332. Okay, perfect. That's the one that qualifies, that we can use for the discount. So these are what professionals are doing. They're not just winging it, so, and you have to get a little bit better every day. And that's what leads up to a $29,000 Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to answer any specific questions that anybody has. And other
Yeah,
than
we can
that,
open it up for a couple minutes. I do respect your
yeah.
time though, and I promised you 30 minutes. So we'll
Well,
open
we had
up
we had
for
a little technical difficulties
we
in the
did.
beginning, so
I know, but does anybody have any specific questions? Anmar had asked a question, but I think you already answered it. Um, I kind of asked it in the beginning. Does anybody else have any specific questions for Eric at this time?
Eric, what is the platform that you're using to follow up and keep up with your clients?
I'm using Lead Champ Pro.
Oh yeah.
Lead
Camden's
Champ
supposed to
Pro.
help me to get knowledge of Lead Champ Pro.
Okay.
So that's Jamie Cheerios and Joshua Lockhart's platform. They were at
Yeah.
conference.
They're at every event, guys, and I've been wanting to get them on a
If you're
Zoom.
bored, after 10 p.m. local time or whatever, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Eastern, whatever your cutoff time is, I would encourage you to go to Lead Champ Pro. It's I mean, I can share my screen if you wanted to see my screen, but it's a very, for me, I mean, I have over 7,000 leads in there. I have hundreds and hundreds of clients in there. Um, I can schedule out text messages to go out. It sends out postcards for all kinds of different things. Um, it probably covers my lead expense on a month. What I gain from this tool probably covers my lead expense on a monthly basis. If I kind of
Um,
if I calculated it out. I mean, I
Do
haven't
you
done it, but
feel,
that's what it
did you
feels
ever
like.
use Ringy?
I've used everything. So I have
So
used Ring.
you
Yeah.
replaced it with this.
I know I was not using ringing when I replaced this, but I had three
Okay.
other go high levels from Chilleri. I had Goat Leads. I had Matt Chilleri and
Yeah.
Aaron's. I had Goat Leads and I had Pizzaglia's. And I took everything and I just merged and I took all my integrity leads. And I took all my books of businesses and I pushed it. And it was a little bit labor intensive, but I pushed it all into this. Um, and I have their AI, which is phenomenal, and their texting. So um, it works for me. That doesn't mean it works for everyone, but it works for me. And they have Wave. I think now they didn't have Wave when they first did this, but I think they are working with Wave inside this now. I still use their Connect dialer system, and they also have My Send Blue. So whenever they does send out text messages, if it is going to another iPhone user, it does show up blue in their
Oh,
phone, which is
wow.
which is much more likely to open. Um,
I
so it's
like that.
yeah, I mean right now it shows how much premium I've closed, how many clients I've added, how many leads were added, and it gives me,
That's
and
a
every and
huge
they're
thing.
always updating everything on this. So again, I'm not a salesperson for Lead Champ Pro, but it's what I'll use, and I'll never go to anything else.
Yeah.
And I've never said that about another tool like that, but it's what I'm most comfortable with. But so to answer your question, I use Remarkable, I use that, and I use Legacy Safeguard. I use True People Search. I use Chat GPT a lot. If I get a
Hmm.
response from a client, I'll take a picture of it and I'll say, hey, what should my response be? And I'll just, run with that. If I get a trucker lead, I'm like, hey, I just got this trucker lead. I called them, I left a voicemail, but they didn't answer. Give me a good text to send them. And I'll take a picture of like, their beneficiary, how long they've been on the road, if they're an owner operator, all that stuff. Um, and then I have my bookkeeping tab here, that gives me everything to be ready for my accountant so I can pay my quarterly taxes and just, be on top of all that stuff. So
Dang. That's awesome.
Thank you. That was
uh,
so helpful.
other questions? Can't hear you, Kathleen, if you're talking.
Oh, see. Yeah. Or just type it in the chat
Yeah, if you can't get online, yeah, type it in. But
or text me.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
yeah,
now
go
you
ahead.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's fine. Sometimes my system does it because my headphone. First and foremost, I'm just thrilled that you're here. Thank you so much. I have to share. Yes, Eric, you are the one person that truly stands out. I've been with FFL for just over a year, and it's everything that you're hearing, guys, is so true. Eric, I'm sorry to beat your drum. I do have a question though, but you're the one person that took so much time to talk to me when I was at convention, and I'll
Oh,
never
good,
forget it.
good.
Never. And every time I see you, you're always really gracious and you do take the time to say hello. So kudos to you for being such a genuine, good human. And I do admire and listen to all the things that you contribute. It is your tone, it is your demeanor, it's your connectability, it is all that stuff and more. And what I love is even when you speak, it's so articulate and organized. And I have an organizational question for you. So, when you're structuring your day, your week, your month, do you have little things that you could share with us, well, big things actually, on how you flow through a month with your activity? Because I
Um,
have your screen is tabbed, you've got all that stuff ready and rolling. Do you have
oh yeah.
assistants that help you? How
Well, I
much do
do
you
have.
delegate?
So I have a Philippines dialer for $7 an hour that dials for 40 hours a week. That is consistently and constantly going through unresolved leads, trying and missed appointments. Um, and so she's constantly trying to get those people back. So that costs me whatever 14, 28, whatever 28 times seven is. It's not a lot of money. That's what that costs me. And then I have a $10 an hour Philippines VA for 30 hours a week. That all she's doing is making sure that policies issue. And if there's a missed payment, then she's constantly trying to get those people back on the phone to try to conserve the business and get them back on track. She's going in and just cleaning things up. She's staying on hold. So whatever 30 times in is, that's 30 times 40, that's $1,200, right? No, 30 times four is right, 1,200. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so so Heather, so like any of these systems, like if I break even with them, I'm happy because I can focus on outbound dialing and taking inbounds, right? I don't really do a lot of outbound dialing, but I can handle my inbounds and talk to my truckers and talk to my book of business. Um, if you look at my calendar right now, Kathy, like every afternoon from 12 to 8 p.m. is blocked off for inbound calls. Now, it's not blocked off. I can't accept more appointments, but visually I see it. Okay. Um, if a call goes, if I miss an appointment, then I change that color to yellow. If so they start off in a bright blue, okay, when it goes on my calendar. And now if that is a missed appointment, it goes yellow. If it's an appointment that makes but doesn't close, it's a pale green. If I close it, it's a dark green. So literally I can, any downtime I have, I can go back and look for yellows. And if I just don't close it, or it's a dead deal, or like it's just not going to work out, I just put that in tomato, dark red, and I just know I can skip past those.
Eric,
um
I think we're twins. I think everybody here is like, because that's almost exactly the colors I use too.
and and I think I either stole it from you or I stole it from when I was in the car business, because I in that when I was in the car business, I'd have this big book of all the people that came in, and I would yellow them or green them or red them. But I have my ILC up. I have my Integrity Lead Center up with my Agent Center up, because I do run Ringba. I got my Ringba code on. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Nice.
But I do run Ringba, and I do run Spectra Policy Tech. So I run both. I think that's hurting me on Policy Tech. So I have to kind of rethink that, because whenever I toggle off on Policy Tech, I think it's putting me at the bottom of the list. So I don't think I can do that anymore. But the last three I closed were Ringba, and those come in as late as 10 p.m. Eastern. I mean, they're always coming in. Um, and I have my insurance toolkits up. I have my calendars up. I do work with a few screens, and I have extra screens. If you guys live close by, Afro, if you need a screen, you can swing by and grab one. But because I have extra ones. But that's kind of how my days is set up. Um, Saturdays, I typically, every day is typically about 10 to 6, but I was on here till 9:30 last night, Kathleen, with that lady, just sending Americo to that lady. I'm like, all right, here it comes. Tap on it. Oh, I missed it. I'm like, okay, here it comes again. And then we got through all that and I couldn't validate her banking. So we pushed it all the way through 3 times. And then we called this morning to validate her banking, which they couldn't validate. So then we had to call her bank together and they had to get a routing number. It was something. Hey, a little tip, and Heather, you probably do this, but if you use Americo, after you agree to terms, a little box pops up and it says view policy details or information. That's your one and only time to print out the application. Are you guys downloading and saving your Americo application?
No.
Yes.
Ooh, you are, Kathleen? Okay.
I sure as heck am.
Yeah.
I have a
So,
backstory to why.
so, well, you can't access that information after you submit it. It's gone, 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 gone. So, so once you get that last text message, and then it says agree to terms, you press that, and then a little black box pops up. Not little, it's like this big, and it says view policy details or application. It says something. Click on that. The PDF of the Americo app pops up, and then you can save it, and then you have nothing's redacted, okay, and you have routing, account, beneficiary, you have all that, and then I upload that into my Go High Level Lead Champ system, so I have access to every application that I've ever done because I upload that, I upload my remarkable notes in there, I upload Lead Champ Pro, my Legacy Safeguard, so that's all in there, so I can always see all that stuff. So if you're not doing that with Americo, I think they're the only carrier that does that. That's the only time they let us see that information, and you can't access it again.
Mhm. Good tip. Huge
Yeah.
tip. Awesome. So,
What else?
well, I do want to let you go because I know you're busy and
Okay.
you're making money. I appreciate you. Obviously, we all do very seriously. We know your time is valuable. And you didn't have to come and pour into our team just like you did. We're definitely grateful for you. Thank you for always being on Zoom. I know we're not on Zoom anymore, just so you know, we've moved to Discord.
That's all
And
good.
although we have so many screens, and actually I'm very new to the multiple screen thing, by the way. I'm just getting used to it. It's really hard to be on multiple Zooms at one time and Discords and stuff. So we are grateful for you. Reach out anytime. Thank you for helping our team. Guys, drop some appreciation in the chat for him.
Thank you.
And
If I'll put my I'll put my you guys might be following me some places,
Eric's
but
always on Zoom, always on the FFL ALL Zoom.
but that's my Instagram, right? And I'll put my email address in here. Um, if you guys are interested in the Lead Champ Pro,
Oh, I'm interested.
I do have a coupon for $150 off your first month.
Camden, you get
Um,
on that.
Yes, please.
just just email me and I can send you over the link for that. Um, and yeah, that's it. I'm super excited. Super excited for what's happening this year. I love the inbounds. They're
Yeah.
challenging. They're definitely challenging. You have to you have to be a pro on a lot of different levels. Not only finding that why and cementing it in. And Dom Rogers did a training yesterday, a great training. If you guys saw it, but really just locking the people down. I mean, you should not be at 100% post dates. Max 25% on post dates. Um, and but you have to be good at walking people through how to find their text messages and how to use their cell phones, and that takes a lot of patience. A lot of
Yeah.
patience. Um, what was the list
And
of
I'm
his
just typing
tools?
some of them. You said Remarkable, Lead
Okay,
Champ Pro,
True People
Legacy.
Search.
Yeah, True People Search
Safeguard.
and Legacy Safeguard.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, we'll let you go.
yeah.
Inbounds have been huge for all of us, I think. And I think one of the hard thing is the mentality of spending so much money and having a day that goes by with no sales. that is a really hard thing for especially a new agent who doesn't have a ton of money to throw. And even an agent who's been in the business for a long time, still going $600 in and not having a sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's your take on that real
Well,
quickly?
the numbers should end up about 1 out of 4 minimally. Okay. You should be taking 60% and you should be closing north of 25%. If you're quoting early, if you're taking too many calls, like, and we can stop recording or I can redact this from the recording, but like if
Camden will do it.
if if like if I get an inbound and the TV's just